This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening. Welcome to the November 2020 meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners for the Town of North Haven. My name is Larry Lazaroff, Chairman. To my left is Robin Wilson, Vice Chairman. To my right is Bob Hannon, Commissioner. To his right is Commissioner Alden Mead. Do we have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the October 27th meeting, both regular and executive session?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have an approval. We have a motion for the approval of minutes of the November 9th, 2020 special meeting. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. In lieu of Mark Calafiore, Commissioner Calafiore not being present, Secretary, Vice Chairman Robin Wilson will read the correspondences.
We have two very nice pieces of correspondence, and we normally just say a very abbreviated version, but I think these deserve a little bit more because these are, this one especially has some good resource information in it. This is to the chief, and her name is Jennifer Wondroth Holster. She's the new director of the Women and Families Sexual Assault Crisis Services. That's an organization that provides services to 28 area towns and offers confidential support services for survivors of sexual violence and their loved ones. It includes a 24-hour hotline, one-on-one crisis counseling, support groups, advocacy, medical, police, legal, and other resource information. All of the direct services are free and confidential. I think it's something that people should at least be aware of, which is why I'm reading more information on it. But she's reaching out to let the North Haven Police Department and the chief know about one of our officers, Detective, is it DeCoco, who had worked with one of their victims. She was very pleased to hear from the advocate on the case how professional, thorough, and respectful Detective DeCoco was while working with the victim. Cases of sexual assault can be very difficult, so it was wonderful to hear how excellent the North Haven Police Department was, especially Detective DeCoco, while working with a victim of sexual assault. We hope that the North Haven Police Department will feel free to call on us if they can ever be of any help, and also reaching out to the entire community if they are interested in seeking help through this organization. So that was very, very nice letter. The other one also addressed to the chief, a woman whose car died, literally she said, at the intersection of Sackett Point Road and Universal Drive. It was her worst nightmare. She couldn't move the car and no one seemed willing to stop and help. And then two police officers arrived and they both pushed her car out of the way. One of them then left, and the other officer, John Baddock, stayed with her until AAA came. And she could not get in the truck with AAA because of COVID, so he stayed with her until she could get a ride. And she was just so thrilled to meet such a true gentleman and kind soul. And thanks to North Haven Police Department and Detective Baddock.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Robin. Okay, for my chairman's report, the chief will discuss, we had a special session on November 9th as we just voted on the approval of the minutes where we did interviews for the open position for patrol, and we did offer a conditional offer of employment, and the chief will elaborate on that. The chief will also elaborate on Officer Dahlstrom and Cirrus at the academy, which is the dog we have. I did attend a meeting of the Whitney Ridge neighborhood group. They had called for a meeting to discuss the incidences of the area, of carjackings, etc. And the meeting went very, very well. The residents were very, very pleased actually with the police department, and they understand that the police department is doing the best they can. And we're just going to try to formulate a plan to be a little bit more vigilant ourselves. But as we say every month, it's up to you as well. You must participate. You must lock your cars. You must lock your homes. We suggested that we should have lights on in the house, on the timer possibly, and if it's possible, have motion sensor lights on your house. I mean, these are different times, so we have to take a little bit of responsibility ourselves. So that was a result of that meeting, and I'm sure we'll be meeting again. With the time change, it gets dark earlier, and so please be careful with walkers. There are a lot of people walking and running still in the evening and early mornings, so be careful as you're driving, especially now with the leaves coming down. I'm sure the chief will talk about that as well. And that's really about it. But, one of the discussions we had at this meeting was, what do we do when we see something? And the answer is call the police. Dial 911. That's why the police department is here to help you. If you see something, say something, and they're happy to be there. And they do respond to this area, and I'm sure they respond to all of them. I know they do. And it's important that we just stay vigilant and let them know when you see something. With that being said, I will turn it over to the chief.
That's a good transition. We have seen an uptick in vehicle burglaries and stolen vehicles all over town, not just any one specific neighborhood. So internally here at the PD, we've adjusted our patrols and dramatically increased our neighborhood checks. But as the chairman stated, we ask our residents to help us. Always lock your doors. Remember not to leave your key fobs in your vehicles, and call us if you see anything suspicious. In terms of our budget, we're currently tracking under budget, even with a number of unexpected expenditures so far this year. I give kudos to our command staff, our mid-management, and supervisors for staying on top of things like soft overtime costs to keep us on track. Our budget preparation is ongoing. They'll be submitted to the Department of Finance early December, so we're really wrapping that up, and things look like they're in good shape. Our traffic report has 2 issues from last month that were voted on. The first is the no parking signs on Sheffield Road at the cul-de-sac. Those signs have been ordered. They're not installed yet, but they have been ordered. Both stop signs that were voted on last month have been installed, and that was for Horseshoe Hill at Cloudland and Fortune Drive at Cloudland. We have 2 new topics or items, not for discussion or vote, but just for your information. The Department of Transportation has 2 projects that are planned over the next few years. The first is they plan to remove the nighttime flashing operations at some of the intersections in North Haven. That is the traffic lights that stay normal function until a certain time at night, and then they trip over to just flash yellow and red. A study was done, and it showed that there's a 52% decrease in nighttime crashes when they eliminate the flashing. So we have 12 intersections in North Haven, and there's 43 intersections in the district. It's district number 3 for the state, and that's planned to be completed in September 2022.
So they remove them and then just have them regular?
Cycle normally throughout the night.
Oh, so,
Okay. Okay.
Project number 2 for DOT is they are offering to install centerline rumble strips for eligible roadways that are owned and maintained by municipalities. So we have a list of those roadways that we can determine whether we want to or decline the installation. To be eligible, there needs to be traffic volume that exceeds 2,000 vehicles per day and a minimum speed limit of 35 miles per hour. So as usual, Sergeant DePascal is going to evaluate that list. He'll do a report, a workup, and present that to the commission next month. As you mentioned, Officer Dahlstrom and K9 Cyrus are doing well at the Connecticut State Police K9 training facility. All reports are training is going very well. Officer Dahlstrom's doing a great job. Our K9 has lost a little bit of weight, but he's working out all day, every day, so that's expected. So we expect that graduation, like I said last month, in late January. Under our training report, along with other mandated trainings and opt-in trainings that we conduct month to month, Lieutenant Thorpe has attended the CLIA conference. It was virtual this fall. It's usually at a number of different locations throughout the country. But for COVID reasons, that was virtual. And since the deputy chief has been the CLIA manager for several years, I asked him to just speak briefly about what that entails.
Every time there's a change in an accreditation manager for CLIA, it's required that they go through a CALIA conference. And at the conference, there's a series of training courses that are geared specifically to new accreditation managers. And basically it talks about, how to manage an accreditation process. It talks about the different standards, time-sensitive standards that are things that have to be done annually, things that have to be done monthly, weekly, and things like that. So it brings that new, appointed person up to speed and gives them kind of an overview of the CALIA process, what's expected and what's required, and how to meet the standards that are set forth by CALIA. So in the past, up until COVID, you've actually attended a conference. There's periodically, or I think 3 or 4 throughout the year, and they're spread out in different locations, nationally. But in light of the COVID concerns and various states having similar issues, they did a virtual conference. So we just completed that this past week.
Okay. So how often do we have to be accredited or evaluated with CALIA? I've forgotten.
It's a 4-year cycle.
4 years.
What they are doing now is every year of the accreditation cycle, to make sure that you're meeting, standards and you're not missing something. They do a remote dial-in. CALIA will assign, I guess, an auditor. I forget what their formal terminology is. He'll dial in. He'll say that he's going to look at. He'll name 20 standards that he wants to look at, and the department can select other ones that they have either concerns about or they're comfortable with, but they just want some reassurances. So annually, they'll do that remote review, and then at the end of the cycle, which is 4 years, they'll actually, I don't know what they're gonna do again in light of COVID, but they would come out and they would look at your files. You say your files are secured in this location, they're gonna wanna see it. They're gonna wanna see that they're locked and they're secured. They're gonna wanna look at your cell block to make sure that, things are the way they're supposed to be. So it's kind of a, an on-site evaluation.
And the last time this was done here was last year?
They came in, they dialed in remotely in January. We didn't have any major issues, we just tightened up some things. You may want to add a proof here, which is showing that you're complying with a particular standard. We have another one scheduled for year 3, is in December of this year. In April of next year, 2021, it's going to be a short year cycle for us because it's year 4. They want to do another remote, again, just to check our standards online, and then they're scheduled to actually come in theory and do a physical evaluation of the building and, how we comply with their standards. Again, that's up in the air. That may be remote as well.
Right. Excellent, thank you.
So we're in year 4 of the 4-year cycle.
That's fine.
I'd like to thank the deputy chief. He's not only taking on his day-to-day tasks, but he's working alongside Lieutenant Thorpe and getting him ramped up with the CALIA process. And there's a lot of work to it.
And then after the 4-year cycle, is there a wait period and then you start again, or?
They award, I apologize. They award you your certificate, and your accreditation will continue, and then that 4-year cycle will start again.
It's kind of like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's never ending.
Great, thank you guys.
So under our uniform services and investigative services report, going back to December 2019, there was a dispute during a drug transaction in Hanson Park. As one of the vehicles was fleeing, being followed by a witness, a suspect inside that vehicle fired several rounds from a handgun out the window of the car. After a lengthy investigation and a number of search warrants, the Investigative Services Division has been able to identify a suspect, and they recently made an arrest of a 17-year-old juvenile from East Haven, charging him with robbery, first degree, reckless endangerment, and a number of other criminal charges. In September of this year, we responded to a shoplifting at Home Depot that turned into a robbery when the suspect was trying to flee the store, was confronted by an employee. He threatened to stab the employee with a needle, prompting the robbery charges. Another nice investigation leading to a recent arrest for robbery, first degree, and larceny. On October 30th of this year, we responded to a report of a carjacking on Garfield Avenue. This came in at 8 o'clock in the morning. An individual was Looking in the backseat of his vehicle, about to start the car to leave for the day. 3 suspects approached him with a handgun, asked for his keys very politely, made off with the car. A short time later, the same suspects committed a second carjacking in the city of New Haven. Our detectives are working with New Haven detectives to have a resolution to that investigation. We responded to a second carjacking in the past month at 117 Washington Avenue. That was on November 13th. This individual was struck in the head 2 different times with a handgun that was being used to facilitate the robbery. That vehicle has been located. The detectives have processed that vehicle for evidence. And just to highlight a few categories of the uptick in crime recently, just in the past month since we met last, we've had 3 robbery investigations. Compared to the previous month, we had 0. But we've had 9 burglaries recorded. The previous month was 5. Overdoses are the same. We had 2 in the last month and 2 in the previous month. Unfortunately, one of our recent overdoses was a fatality, so detectives are working on that case. We've had 3 vehicle burglaries in the past month, all of them unlocked. That's compared to only 11 the previous month. We've had a total of 7 stolen vehicles in the last month, compared to 3 the previous month. 2 of those stolen vehicles were by means of robbery, the 2 carjackings. The other 5 were all unlocked vehicles with the key fobs in the cars, and all 7 of those vehicles have been recovered and processed for evidence. I have 1 request for the Benary Scholarship. It's a request from Captain Stervides for 1 graduate level class from the University of New Haven. If you'd like to consider that.
No problem, man. Anybody have a motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a few fundraisers going on. As you probably noticed, we're doing No Shave November this month. We're just over halfway through that fundraiser, and I give credit to the officers who are doing a good job raising money for a good cause. The Connecticut Cancer Foundation, and they've raised so far over $4,500 for that cause.
Congratulations.
And officers are now preparing to conduct a holiday toy drive. They will be in front of Target at 200 Universal Drive on December 5th. And starting tomorrow, toys will be collected in a box in the lobby of police headquarters from now until December 12th. Anybody can come to the lobby with a mask on, drop off a donation, and it's much appreciated. Aside from that, I only have a few personnel issues for executive session.
Excellent. Anyone have any questions? I'm good. Comments?
No.
We're good? Okay. Can I entertain a motion to go into executive session for the matter of personnel?
Make a motion to go into executive session.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay, we are back now in open
I told him
session
I'd
after
design
coming
it.
out of executive session. Before we adjourn for the evening, I think Commissioner Mead would like to make a few comments.
Yeah, I just was going to say earlier, and it slipped my mind to just give a compliment to the North Haven Animal Control, because I happened to be there the other day, and it was a terrific place. They were very kind, sensitive, so organized. They gave me a tour. Crystal was there. I didn't get to meet Dave yet. I know they're both terrific, and I was just impressed with what they do a lot with a very little, and throughout history. Judge a society is how it treats its animals. So I thought that was a good place to be. And on top of that, I left with a kitten.
Nice, nice.
Crystal, she's
So
good.
your zoo is increasing in
That's it.
size, obviously.
3 cats, yeah. But anyway, it was terrific, and I know they're always looking to improve. So I thought I'd
That's good to hear. Thank you. Any further business? Okay. I'd like a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.